Microcenter will have the fastest and most powerful laptops ever coming this Monday, and they'll be powered by the RTX 5090 and RTX 5080 GPUs. So be sure to stop by to get your hands on one to start gaming same day. But gaming is not all that you can do when you have this much horsepower packed into such a small package. Now I have here the ASUS ROG Strix SCAR 18. This is an 18-inch laptop that boasts the best of the best with an Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX, and that's paired with an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5090. This is the ultimate combo for gaming, video editing, 3D rendering, and even local AI application use. So I figured, what better way to try out this SCAR 18 than to put it through its paces? I've set this guy up and I've installed a bunch of games to try out, as well as DaVinci Resolve with the video project, and we can't forget AI, so there's LM Studio with a few AI models installed as well. Before we start playing around, I want to talk specs just for a little bit because there's a lot happening here. Obviously, we covered the CPU-GPU combination with that Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX, and that's packed with 24 total cores, 8 performance cores, and 16 efficiency cores. And that's giving you the mix of performance when you need it and efficiency for all those low-power tasks to keep the battery running. The P cores are at a 2.7 GHz clock speed and the E cores at 2.1 GHz, with a boost clock on the E cores of 4.6 GHz and a boost on the P cores of 5.4 GHz. So you're getting the performance that you need, and it can handle most anything that you throw at it. Paired off with that NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5090, which has an insane 24 gigabytes of GDDR7 VRAM. I mean, you have the winning combo. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what this 5090 can do. There's also a multiplexer switch, which they call NVIDIA Advanced Optimus, and that's to automatically switch between the discrete GPU and the integrated graphics on the CPU. And that helps you to ensure that you're getting the maximum performance from the discrete GPU when you need it, but you can also switch tasks to the integrated GPU for lower power consumption, and that's going to preserve battery life. This dynamic switching between the graphic units gives you an ideal optimization for any use case. This ASUS ROG Strix SCAR 18 has 64 gigabytes of DDR5 5600 megatransfer memory, and that's 2 SODIMMs that are actually easily accessible by the quick release switch on the bottom of the laptop. This pops off the panel so you can access the memory slots as well as the 2 M2 slots. One of those slots is already populated with a 2 terabyte PCIe 4 SSD, and the other is wide open for you to slot in an extra M2 with no extra effort needed. Obviously, the laptop is huge, but considering the power that's packed inside, it's actually worth it. First, this is 7.67 pounds, plus a little bit extra when you factor in that power brick, but that actually doesn't scare me in the slightest. See, we recently did a build for a new studio PC, and that had an Intel Core Ultra 9 285K and an RTX 5080. This laptop actually has 8 gigabytes more VRAM than our desktop, while being under 8 pounds. And considering how much our video team travels with all of our Pelican cases, with all of our camera gear, having a mobile editing station with this power coming in under 8 pounds is frankly a drop in the bucket, since we always have to lug gear around anyway. This 18-inch panel is a mini LED panel at a 2560 by 1600 resolution with a 240 Hz refresh rate, and I have to say, it looks great. And that's because you get 100% DCI-P3 color gamut, and it's also Pantone validated. So you get that factory color calibration, which means you get the best color accuracy for color sensitive work like photo editing and video editing. Connectivity-wise, you have a rock-solid set of I/O and wireless connectivity with Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.4, there's 2 Thunderbolt 5 ports that support DisplayPort and power delivery up to 100 watts. There's 2 USB-A ports and a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, as well as a full HDMI port. And honestly, at this point, I'm just rattling off specs, but I really wanted to drive home how packed this SCAR 18 is. Now, let's just start playing around and let's see what it can do. So I figured, what better way is there to demonstrate the SCAR 18 than to just start playing some games? So right now I have Cyberpunk 2077 loaded. And this is just the opening menu, but I want to hear.
Strengthen cyber victims off the pavement.
That's pretty loud. This actually has 4 speakers built in, and I wanted to see how loud it can get. I have a shotgun mic up here that picks it up. Obviously, you're just watching a video recording of this, but I can just tell you hearing it like this. It's actually pretty loud, and bass is pretty okay. I mean, obviously, you know, it's not going to be too bassy, but right off the bat, just loaded up the game, and I also wanted to say that I set up this laptop, but I actually haven't run anything just yet because I just wanted to get a first impression right out of the box. So I just got everything set up. I have frame view up in the corner over here, so I'll have a punch in for the frame rate there. Just loaded in the game, got it set to the right resolution, and let's just go Ray Trace Ultra. We'll run a benchmark and then we'll just drop into the world. DLSS is on with the transformer model, and I'll turn on, so frame gen, I just turned it on, but it's gonna work on restart. So let me just try one now, and then we'll try one after restarting just to see the difference. Okay, so 75 FPS, 1% lows. 1% lows about 58, 60. Average FPS hanging in the 70s, 1% lows, dipping down to 53, dipping up to 60. So all in all, actually not too bad. Obviously DLSS is still enabled, but this is what we're getting, at least without frame gen. It's not bad. 80s right now, 82, 81, 1% lows in the 60s. So, I mean, frankly, this is a really acceptable and good frame rate for Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, as long as the 1% lows are hanging in the 60s for this game, I think it's great. For a first-person RPG, 60 is fine. If you're gonna go into a competitive shooter, that's where you're gonna want that higher frame rate. And even here, what it's saying in the benchmark results, we have average FPS of 76.82, minimum of 69, and max, 85. So, what we were seeing in the 1% lows, actually not too bad. Let's do a quick restart and see what it looks like with frame gen. All right, cool. So I just did a quick restart. Now I'm just gonna go in, frame gen is on. I'll do the 4X. Let's see what happens. Wow, okay, so right off the bat, average FPS in the 200s, 221, 210, 215, 1% lows in the 90s, jumping up. Now it's 140, 170, 150. So that's really, really impressive. I think what I'm looking for here is actually just image fidelity. I'm trying to see if there's any weirdness going on with the frame gen, but since this is the benchmark, for the most part, it looks pretty clean. It's looking pretty okay so far. That frame rate, really impressive. So this is performance with frame gen and DLSS 4, and frame rate is in the 200s. Ray Trace Ultra, by the way. So that's extremely impressive. 1% lows kind of seems to be jumping all over. I saw it hit the 40s for one split second there, but then it jumped right back up, 160s, 116. Let's see what our averages look like. So 227 is our average FPS with a minimum of 210. Not bad. Obviously, we did see 1% lows kind of jump all over a little bit. Why don't we just jump right into the world, see what it looks like. Whoa, hello. All right, we're in the game world. This is nuts. All right, so frame rate right now in the 200s, 220, 215, 1% lows. I saw 80, 140s, 120s, kind of jumping all over. Let me see if we get, I think motion blur's on. I'm gonna turn motion blur off. So I'm trying to do some of the things that you can do to get some of the artifacting to pop up, but I mean, I gotta tell you, I can't really tell. I really can't tell. I mean, part of it too, I just did a driver update on this as well, and I know that there's gonna be improvements over time, especially when it comes to DLSS 4 and frame gen. So the fact that, yes, obviously I'm using DLSS 4. Yes, I'm using frame generation. I'm getting 230, 220 frames per second, 1% lows going anywhere from the 90s to 120s in Cyberpunk 2077 at Ray Trace Ultra on a laptop is absolutely bonkers to me. This is just absolutely crazy. And I gotta say, I really like this panel a lot. Like, this actually looks, the colors are great. Even the blacks like look really, really nice. Like this actually looks phenomenal. And the size too, for 18 inches. I know it's a little bit further than I would normally play. I specifically put this on a stand like this because I wanted to have the monitor kind of closer to my, eye height while I'm playing. Plus that's gonna help with the thermals as well. And while I'm running around in the world here, I do want to talk a little bit about the thermals. There is a vapor chamber cooler in here with 2 fans, tons of fins. They have this like sandwich design for the heat pipes and the way they put it in there. So I can hear the fans on, but they're not that loud. Obviously this room is pretty quiet because this is like a controlled environment for shooting videos, but it's not like, they're not loud, they're not distracting. Obviously I'm just kind of running around the city, just doing normal whatever, but temperatures look pretty good too. GPU 69 degrees, CPU 77 degrees, 75 degrees, so that's actually looking really nice. And I have to comment because, I actually had a gaming laptop for a couple of years. This is back in like 2018. So I'm actually used to seeing laptop temps in the 90s. Like I am accustomed to that. So seeing a 5090 performing, and this is 94, 95% utilization, 67 degrees, 69 degrees, rock solid. Like this is keeping this really nice and cool. So there's definitely something to be said for the cooler that's in this SCAR 18. That's actually very impressive. And the frame rate, it just goes without saying. We've been doing a lot of the desktop GPUs the last couple of months, so the fact that I'm playing this on a laptop and I'm getting desktop performance is absolutely incredible. Let's see what else we could try out. Funny part about doing a live demo like this is sometimes you're really doing it live, waiting for the shaders to compile. It'll be a minute. But while we're waiting for that, I do want to talk about some of the cool features about this ASUS ROG Strix SCAR 18, and there's a lot of them actually. So first of all, there's the RGB, and there is plenty of RGB. There's RGB under the laptop to give you a nice underglow when you put it on your desk, as well as RGB on the keyboard itself. So all of that Aura Sync that you have going on here, it's really, really cool. And it's easy to configure. There's also, on the back, you may have noticed on the monitor itself, on the back there, it has that ROG Strix logo with those LEDs. So that's actually an LED panel that you can configure in Armory Crate. So there's a couple of different presets there that I can show you later. And then obviously Armory Crate has all of your different performance settings. So your performance, your optimized, your silent modes, like all of those different modes that you can do for this SCAR 18. So if you're not happy with the way the fans sound, you can run the silent mode and get it to run a little bit quieter. Frankly, they don't sound that loud to me. Like I said, I come from a gaming laptop background. I know what loud fans sound like, and these are not loud. There we go. Let's load up Black Myth Wukong. All right, there we go, and we are in. So this is the benchmark in Black Myth Wukong. This is with ray trace off, but cinematic highest settings across the board. So FPS average 80s, 82, 81, 1% lows, 50s, 55, 53, 69, 70. So across the board, looking pretty good. And again, this is cinematic, so cool. All right, so 79 FPS average, 69 FPS minimum. Not bad. Total VRAM used, 8.7 gigabytes. Really? That's interesting. Because I have 16 more that you can use. And that's, again, cinematic, everything at the highest setting. And that is, DLSS is on, but ray trace is off. So let's see what happens when we turn ray trace on. Just gonna do a quick restart of the game. Interesting, okay. FPS in the 80s, 1% lows in the 60s. It's about what we were getting before. Super resolution set to 90. So that's higher, kind of like on the clarity scale there. It's holding pretty strong. I mean, utilization on the GPU, 98%, 68 degrees. Utilization on the CPU, 14%, 24, 15, 70 degrees on that guy. Not bad. All right, let's see what we came up with. All right, so average 79, minimum 69. Huh. That's about what we were getting before, to be perfectly honest. It's within range, so okay, not bad. Let's hop in the world and let's just see how it looks. All right, so I'm in the world now. I mean, right now, average frame rate, 90s, 1% low, 60s. This is rock solid performance. Like, this is genuinely rock solid performance. Just holding strong in the 90s, 1% lows, dipping down a little bit, hit the 30s for a second there. I will say I just got this mouse plugged in and I didn't install the drivers, so the sensitivity is like really high. Like, this looks gorgeous. The fidelity is there. I gotta say, the resolution of this screen too, like this is a real good sweet spot. What's this, 2560 by 1600? I got my cheat sheet over here. Yeah. Because it has that pixel density at that 18-inch screen size. Okay, so the 1% lows, I do see some dips into the 30s, but I think that's pretty okay. I mean, again, I'm playing at the maximum settings possible. Like, this is cinematic. This is like the highest settings that I can set. And the fact that, again, I'm doing this on an under 8-pound laptop is super impressive. Well, I'm thinking, in terms of gaming, it's looking pretty good. I mean, there you have it. That's two of probably the most intense games that you could run on this, between Cyberpunk and Black Myth Wukong. I know that there's some other games coming up that are probably gonna be just as intensive, but just to give you a taste of what this can do, I mean, this can really handle it. So if you scale that over to basically any other game, I mean, I don't like to play a lot of FPSs, you know, third-person shooters like Fortnite. I'm a big fan of that one. That's gonna run rock solid on here. Anything else I throw on here, I know is gonna run rock solid. So 5090 performance in this guy, that's awesome. Why don't we try a couple of other things? With gaming covered, I want to talk about a couple of other things that you can do with this laptop, because I don't think it's just a gaming laptop. I think it's actually a really good creator laptop. So if you want to get into video editing, 3D rendering, things in that realm, you have enough power to really handle it. And I truly mean that. I talked about the desktop that we built for our studio over here with that 285K paired off with that 5080. You're getting comparable performance in a laptop. I mean, that's just absolutely nutty to me. So I'm gonna load up on a project that we did a little while back. This is the video we did for our build on the 5080. And everything is actually on the Samsung T7 SSD. External SSD, obviously USB-C connection, and I have it plugged into one of the Thunderbolt 5 ports. Now, when you're editing video, you should edit off of an internal SSD or internal drive, but frankly, when you're editing on a laptop and you're editing on the go, editing off of an external SSD is kind of standard practice, to be perfectly frank. So that Thunderbolt 5 gives you plenty of throughput that you need to handle fast data transfers. Obviously, I have my whole project file here with, there's a lot of footage, actually, because we do a multi-camera shoot, and don't judge my timeline. It's a little sloppy, I'll admit, and actually not even memory efficient. I do kind of hack this together when I do these edits. So you can see there's multiple different angles all layered on top of one another, and whichever one is on top, that's the angle that you're gonna see. And these are all H.265 10-bit 422. So that means that it's leveraging the hardware acceleration from that 5090, because the 5000 series of GPUs now comes with that hardware acceleration that was so desperately needed for that video footage. But that's not all, because DaVinci Resolve, if you go here, you can go to decode options. You could leverage the CPU or the GPU for hardware encode decode. Now, obviously, NVIDIA, tons of encoders and decoders available. Intel actually has a ton available as well. So you have your Intel QuickSync, or you have your NVIDIA, their NVENC encoders and decoders. And so if you're talking about H.264, H.265, even for Blackmagic RAW, which is their flavor of RAW video, so you can work that here as well. Red RAW, some of those other flavors, you know, you can work with ProRes RAW. That's still an Adobe Premiere thing. That's not yet in DaVinci Resolve, although I'm really hoping, because I do have a Ninja and it would be great to use ProRes RAW in this. If you're just a gamer watching this, by the way, this is about to get really technical on the video side. But all of that is to say that everything that I look for in a mobile video editing workstation is available here. You have that extra M2 slot, so if I want backup storage or a cache drive or just extra storage in general, really easy to fit that in there. And obviously, tons of power to boot. CPU, GPU, as well as memory. 64 gigabytes of memory in this configuration. That's gonna be really good for video editing, really good for 3D rendering. 128 or 192 would be better, but this caps out at 64, and that's really all you need for now. And I mean, look at this. I'm playing it, playback right there. I'm getting my full 23976 or 24p frame rate, and I'm just gonna scrub around. Zero issues. Now, if it was having issues with decoding all of this H.265 10-bit footage, it would start hitching just by me doing this. Like, you know, someone on an older machine would not be doing this in their timeline, as crazy as I am. So someone who is very attuned to video editing knows kind of what I'm doing right now, and the fact that it can do this like this, it's pretty great. And I also have like our AI noise reduction features in DaVinci Resolve. That's turned on, and sometimes that hinders performance. No issues. Everything is fully color graded. I haven't even turned off the color grades. No issues. I'm not even using proxies here. I don't have proxies enabled. This is the raw footage straight off of the drive. No issues whatsoever. So when you look at a machine like this, and especially when you look at what's packed into it, as well as the price tag, and you start wondering, really all of that just for gaming? Well, it's not just for gaming. And to add on top of this, when you consider all of the support that you get from NVIDIA with NVIDIA Broadcast and what you can do to leverage that RTX technology for background removal, noise reduction, and audio, and you can do that on the fly in OBS, so you can just fully remove your background without the need for a green screen, and it works really, really well. So you get all of those features as well. So if you're a streamer on the go, and there's a lot of streamers out there that they do travel and they do try to do their daily streams, so something like this, that's what you need. This is by no means like a benchmark. I just wanted to see how fast this can go. This is just a YouTube preset for 4K export, 43-minute video. Let's see what happens. Let's see what's going on. So on the export side of things, you can see it's definitely leveraging that GPU usage. It's almost 100% there. And obviously it's not using all the VRAM, it's only using, what, 4.7 gigs of the VRAM. You can also see some stuff going on with the integrated graphics on that 275HX. So it's leveraging all of that. Memory, I mean, it's just eating 20 gigs across the board. And CPU utilization, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it looks like it's definitely slamming those P cores, while those E cores are kind of just in the background hanging out, not much going on the E cores, but you can definitely see the P cores, those 8 cores, those are getting slammed with this export right now. So you can see all across the board, this export is hitting it pretty hard. 43-minute, and I mean, this is an H.264 export. You know, I'm not doing anything too crazy. This is just kind of a run-of-the-mill standard export here. You do get AV1 support, you do get H.264, H.265, all of the different flavors, all of the different color spaces. So that's what really matters to someone, at least on the creator side. All right, there we go. We're coming up on the tail end of the export here. And let's see what we clock in at. Okay, so that was a almost 44-minute timeline, and this is just, again, the YouTube preset MP4 H.264. 9 minutes and 5 seconds, which that's really fast. That's really, really, really fast. Now, export times, I'll say we do see improvement gen over gen, but it just seems, I don't want to call it diminishing returns, but it's not as staggering as it used to be. You see a lot of incremental improvement. So you know, what would have been a generation or two, maybe that same export probably would have been maybe a minute longer, which is still fast because 43, 44 minute timeline, export in 10 minutes. I mean, that's great. Back in my day, I remember when a 10-minute video took 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes to export, and that's just at H.264. So these things have gotten way, way, way faster. But all of this is to say, at least when it comes to the workflow part of things, you know, when you're in your timeline and you're editing everything, I mean, this is a rock solid machine. The laptop that I travel with has a 13900HX, and that's paired with an NVIDIA RTX 4070. So this blows that out of the water because, again, you get that hardware acceleration on both the CPU, GPU. So for someone like me, this is what I'd want. Now I have LM Studio open here, and I want to do just a very quick local AI demo. And I know there's a lot of different flavors of AI apps. You know, there's like Ollama and a whole bunch of others. I like LM Studio because the user interface is very user-friendly. It's really easy to use, and that's why I like this one the most. I did test it out a little bit earlier, actually. So if you use the prompt library from Anthropic, I like that one a lot because it's really easy to pull a system prompt and a user prompt to just start testing right off the bat, so you don't have to think of one off the top of your head. A lot of people have their own system prompts and user prompts that they use for AI, but this is just an easy way to just pluck one out of the ether and just kind of get started. I'll do a quick demo with LM Studio. So I'm using 3.1, 8B, you know, that's Llama. Now the system prompt I have here, it's basically to just make a summarized like of meeting notes. So I have some fake meeting notes, and I think this is from Shakespeare. Yeah, Verona, Italy, late 16th century. You got the Capulet, Montague. I mean, again, these are just test prompts that you can use, but I just like them for speed. So I have my system prompt, I have everything here, I have my GPU offload set to max, and let it rip. That is very fast. 80.28 tokens per second. Wow, that's really, really fast. Okay. That's interesting. I wonder if that GDDR7 memory is coming into play, because I haven't gotten my hands on a 5090 desktop unit just yet to play with AI stuff, so I'm still capped with my 4090, and I get tokens per second in the 50s to 60s depending, and that's still using Llama 3.18B, so the fact that I'm seeing 80.28 tokens per second, that is wild. Oh my goodness. So that about wraps it up for the ASUS ROG Strix SCAR 18. This is a really, really impressive laptop, not just for gaming, not just for creators and video editors and 3D renderers and everyone else, and not just for AI. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless. The amount of stuff that you can do with this is just impressive. I had a lot of fun playing with this, and I hope this gives you a really good idea of what this 5090 is capable of. So stop by your local microcenter to get your hands on an RTX 5090 and RTX 5080 laptop. And remember, they're coming up this Monday, so stop on by. And if you don't have a microcenter near you, then make sure to comment hashtag I want a microcenter near me.